Hello, my name is Elisabeth Hofmann, and I'm going to present the Participatory Action Research Project, ARPEGE, that we are carrying out in Madagascar since 2020, even though the actual fieldwork has not yet started. Our team associates academic partners, such as universities and research organizations, with NGOs involved in rural development projects. Many countries, such as Madagascar and Senegal, that are concerned by ARPEGE, have made international commitments to eliminate discrimination against women. These countries have introduced provision in their legislation to achieve gender equality. However, there is a disconnect between these national policies and the maintenance of strong gender inequalities in society, both in the various dimensions of human development, such as health or education, and also in access to resources and decision-making. This discrepancy is due to local cultural norms, which are very often slow to change, especially in rural areas. Many development projects are the intersection of the local level, individual level, community level, and the national or international level. They carry political commitments to gender equality to the grassroots level. But these projects are also the place for confrontation and negotiations with other actors with different visions, often rooted in their own culture. In this sense, the development projects can be seen as arenas for negotiating gender. The ARPEGE project was set up with 3 NGOs working in rural development in Madagascar, with one of the projects in the south of the country led by GRET, and 2 in the center of the country led by ID and AgriSud, 2 other NGOs. Participatory action research is conducted with local project staff. Its objective is to make a diagnosis of the consideration of gender in the project activities, to identify problems, to propose co-constructed solutions, to test them, and to analyze their outcomes. This cycle is to be repeated up to 3 times if possible. Individual filmed interviews are also carried out at the beginning and the end of the participatory action research in order to analyze the gender representations of the project staff and their evolution. Participatory action research, as carried out by ARPEGE, remains strongly linked to the cultural contexts and situations of each project. This intervention mode through participatory action research requires significant human and financial resources. Such a method cannot be repeated as such on each development project. The challenge is therefore to draw from ARPEGE processes and approaches to be implemented in other development projects. How can we translate what we have learned in the framework of the action research to extend the gender transformative approach? This figure on the right-hand side, taken from a UNDP guide, shows the relationships between the different levels, local, meso, and national. These linkages allow us to understand scaling up processes so that a local or pilot initiative can have impacts at the meso and national level and then be replicated. In the case of ARPEGE, we work at the local level and seek a scaling up at the meso level mainly, which is represented by the frame, the diagonal frame in the diagram. To guide the scaling up process, we mobilized the scaling up theory for development projects developed by Wig, Boulders and Brouwers in 2016, and we applied it to the ARPEGE project. This approach allows us to identify the activities, the mechanisms of change needed to achieve significant outcomes, the actors mobilized, and the conditions needed for the process to work. The orange line, the vertical one, separates the ARPEGE project on the left and the expected developments on the right of the diagram, which are actually consequences of ARPEGE. To conclude, let me underline that our project targets a gender transformative approach on 2 levels. Concerning the implementation team of the development projects and concerning individuals and the communities where the development projects are implemented. As far as the implementation team is concerned, we expect and analyze 3 types of transformations. First of all, a change in the representation of gender roles. Secondly, a triggering off of ownerships of a pro-equality gender commitment. And thirdly, a learning effect of how experimental trial and error approaches can be effective if they are coupled with a reflexive approach and close monitoring. The development projects involved in the participatory action research will make frequent adjustments, which as such might seem contrary to the usual project approach, where everything is supposed to be planned ahead from A to Z. Our hypothesis, to be confirmed by ARPEGE, is that gender cannot be implemented in a 100% foreseeable manner. It is rather a process that needs adoption to the local context and then constant monitoring, reflection, and adjustments all along. Thank you very much for listening.